I think that's really awesome, right? So your car broke down and you didn't have to, and you had some money put away, and that's how the emergency fund works. I think that's awesome. If you want to tell us the story, you can unmute yourself. If not, I have a little story that happened to me. So before I got my new car, I actually was doing the same thing, the beginning of the Dave Ramsey plan, and when I started in the beginning, I obviously did not have, much money. I couldn't even save $1,000. So congratulations to you on that. I think it's a very special feeling. And my car, my old 1999 Cadillac, broke down on the side of the highway with my kid in the back seat, and I'm kind of like teary-eyed because I was so emotional. And some guy that I met at a gas station, which don't ever use those guys, go to an actual mechanic, right? Lesson learned. Some guy I met at a gas station was like, oh, for $1,000 I'll fix this problem for you. So I was like, oh yeah, I got $1,000 saved, right? My emergency fund money. So I went and I had him fix it. Just for a week later, the car to be completely broken and unfixable, which super sucks. I think sometimes when you save your emergency fund, things come up, and then you save it again, and then eventually you have it saved all the time, okay? And then you get a bigger emergency fund. So I think that's super awesome. I think when you move in the right directions in life, life gives you challenges, and just how life works, it just gives you challenges. And life doesn't give you challenges if you're not growing. So clearly that's a little challenge. I'm sure it sucks to have your car in the shop, but at least you had the money, and now just keep saving that money again, and I think that's awesome. That's definitely a beautiful thing. All right, let's keep going. So this lesson was on insurance, right? Did anybody have any insurance questions? I have a couple cool stories of my brother and I. So the purpose of insurance is simply to transfer risk. I want you to focus on this word risk, right? This is your defensive game plan. Living in America, right? I don't know how it is in every country, but I feel like this is a country where you have to have insurance. You have to have insurances because it seems to me like if you get sick and you're dying, they're not going to take care of you. At least that was the impression that I was under, which is extremely, extremely, extremely scary, right? There are all kinds of insurance, right? And obviously everybody needs a written will, which I'm actually going to get mine done really soon. Now, for insurance, I want to say this. Number one, in my own personal life, before I read the Dave Ramsey material, this is just my story about my stuff. In my own personal life, what I found with insurance is this. It's freaking expensive. Really, really expensive. And if you grew up in a household where you didn't really nobody in my family had insurance. That's not what we did. That wasn't the kind of family we were. And if you grew up in a household like that, I'm sure it's probably the same for you, right? So you never planned on insurance. Arthur and I were in our business. I'm 36 now, and I didn't have health insurance or dental insurance until I was 34 years old, 34 and a half. Because for him and I, it was like $800 a month, and for my whole life, after I was 18, I simply could not afford to pay that amount of money for insurance. I just couldn't. That was crazy to me to spend $800, right? So number one is you have to budget your money in such a way so that you can start affording insurance at some point, right? Then now, I have insurance. I still never go to the hospital. I still think it's a scam. But the mental, comfort that I get by having it is incredible. I actually did obviously go to the dentist and I'm getting my tooth fixed. But the mental comfort of the actual health insurance is so much better. And then as far as life insurance, right? They say maybe you should get term life. I'm a very driven, independent person, so I think I know based on the business I'm going to build and the real estate I'm going to buy, it feels to me like I'm going to be fine in the next 20 years. When I get older, I'll have some retirement stuff. However, what if something happens to me tomorrow or the next day? That's really scary, right? So I never had insurance, and that's how I ended up getting term life insurance. And I got a policy for what I thought I was going to make, and then my brother and I upped it to significantly more because our business grew, right? But what it does in my mind is give you a sense of comfort, okay? So I still think it's really sucks spending all this money on insurances. However, the comfort that I experienced the last 2 years, and I've never been to the hospital anyway, right? But just knowing that it's there, and that if anything happens to me, my son's going to be all set and my family's going to be all set. I think that that's the most important part, and that's why you need to strive to get yourself to a point where you can pay for the insurances. Like I never had anyone that, like, significant other that maybe, like they had a good job where I could get on their insurance. So just figure out a way to get some of these, because in the immediate, it feels like nothing. Like, who the hell needs insurance? Like, let's be honest, it's fucking stupid. I'm sorry, it's stupid. However, you need it because the sense of comfort that it creates on your mind and your heart is just incredible, especially where we live. All right, so any questions about any of that before I go into Dave Ramsey stuff? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, I hope that was helpful. But if you don't have it now, if you don't have the insurances now, don't beat yourself up, because just remember, my brother and I were in the business for 8 years, like no insurance. That would suck. That was so scary. I was like, what's gonna happen if I have to go to the hospital? And once I felt really sick, and I was like, I'm not going. I'm gonna die here because I don't have insurance. So let's just make sure you get it. And if you do get sick, go to the hospital. I'm sure they'll take care of you. That's what I say now with insurance. But without insurance, I'd never go. All right, so the role of insurance. The purpose of insurance is to transfer risk that we can't handle ourselves. Meaning, life insurance is to replace lost income due to death. Term life insurance is the only insurance you should buy. I ended up buying term life insurance after I took this class. It was super cheap for me. And don't quote me on this, but for me, it was which is crazy how cheap it is, because I eat more out. Even at that time, I ate out more money than this insurance would have cost me. For $250,000 policy, or like a $200,000 policy of my term life insurance, right? I think it's like, I don't know much about it, but it's like 20 years out. If anything happens to you, you should be able to get a certain percentage of what you were making, right? So $250,000 ended up costing me about $40 a month. Okay, so you figure if each 240 costs about $40 to $50 a month, you could just add the numbers up. If you need $1 million, just figure out what those numbers are. All right. Cash value life insurance is the payday lender of the middle class. That's a Dave Ramsey quote. All right, whole term. I think if anybody needs insurance, people, I'm not going to get into insurance and how to work it, because I'm not an insurance agent, okay? I'm just facilitating this class. If you need an insurance person, just give me a call or shoot me a message, and I can connect you with somebody to talk to. Just remember, from our last class, you don't have to buy anything, right? Remember that? Like, you don't have to spend money on anything. But it's free to talk to most people. They will talk to you. So just go out there and talk to some insurance agents. Have them give you a quote. It's not like running your credit and it's going to go down. They're just going to give you a quote on what you can or what you should get or what they think you should get. And then based on what the Dave Ramsey system teaches, just try to compile it in such a way that it's, you kind of work it out. Insurance is to avoid, according to Dave Ramsey. Number 1, life and disability insurance on debt you owe. Number 2, mortgage life insurance. Number 3, mortgage life insurance. Number 3, double indemnity for accidental death. Number 4, cancer insurance. Number 5, prepaid burial insurance. Number 6, return of premium. Number 7, waiver of premium. Number 8, dental and vision insurance. Auto insurance. If you have a full emergency fund, think high deductibles. For full coverage on your auto insurance, you want three things: collision, comprehensive, and liability. I find that most of your auto insurance policies probably cover a lot more than you think, which is super, super awesome. Just make sure you have enough coverage on collision, comprehensive, and liability. I'm reading this right from Dave Ramsey. So if you want to learn more about it, what I suggest is just go back and like read the stuff and look at it. But I know for myself, insurance ended up it wasn't like a game changer. I'm still a really, really healthy person, but it just feels better having that stuff. You know, it's one of those things where your mental frame becomes much easier, right? Any questions?
No, I don't have a question, but I can touch on that because I've had a million cars. So depending on the caliber of vehicle you drive, look, once you own it outright and you have the title, you're no longer required to carry full coverage insurance. Collision's a huge part of that.